story because it's like comical. I know
is really fun. And then I started doing it on my phone, so I can identify with that.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to another episode of Break Room Banter. And that's our intro.
Period.
I was like, I don't want to do our old intro anymore. As soon as I started the podcast, I immediately went into our old intro.
Same. We're working on a new intro.
We're working on
it.
Workshopping it. Tell us what you think. Write it for us if you want. We'll memorize it. We're good at memorizing.
We're going to have write the new intro challenge. If you write us a good intro,
it might be on the next episode.
You get a free Patreon membership.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't either.
That.
That means I'm paying for someone's fucking Patreon membership. I'll give you my credit card number. It's fine.
Well, speaking of Patreon, we are revamping our Patreon. We're hoping to have one episode extra every week.
Yeah.
We're trying to record 2 times per every 1 time. That probably doesn't make sense to you. But we've already been sitting here for quite a minute and I'm starting to sweat a little bit. So
2 margaritas at lunch, so it's fun.
We're letting them know on the real one, not on the Patreon.
It's way more fun that way.
If they know, it's better.
If you know, you know. Now you need to listen to Patreon to see what's up.
Because we recorded that first. But yeah, revamping the Patreon. So make sure if you want to support us, it's $5 a month. www.patreon.com. Our editor will put a little thingy down at the bottom of the screen for you right now. Cool. And yeah, so follow us on Patreon if you'd like. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're subscribing. And with all that said, let's get into today's episode.
What are we talking about today?
We are opening a salon.
Hypothetically. No, okay, so today's episode is kind of inspired by the fact that Hunter and I have both worked in
multiple salons
salon
with multiple people.
Multiple cultures. And so we're going to do basically like a little hypothetical version of Hunter and Erica's salon takeover, okay?
I love this.
So in our first scenario, we have a salon that, let's say, maybe from the outside looking in, you would think, okay, this place is great. They're in a nice area. They've got good product lines. They've got staff who have maybe been there for a while. Some who are new, good education, good training. But maybe there is like, what would the word be? I don't want to say bitching or like infighting or complaining, but maybe a struggling culture.
Yeah. And I think too, like Erica said, we've worked in so many different salons and like different salon environments, and it's kind of being inspired again because I just moved to a different salon environment, and we were talking at lunch today and talking about the differences in different salons and how like sometimes stylists don't realize going into like a bigger salon environment that maybe they do have education. Maybe they do have staff that stayed there for a really long time. They have really good products. They have a support staff.
Yeah.
Sometimes stylists don't realize like the cost of that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or like, why is the commission lower here? Or why is it so hard to make 50% commission? Or stuff like that. And I think that these are conversations that like, as we're growing as an industry, are happening in the back room a lot of times. Like,
no, I agree.
And I think that sometimes they don't realize that without that lower commission or something like that, you wouldn't have the support staff or.
I get what you're saying.
You know
like,
what I mean?
Because like, so you're making, let's say 40%, but your support staff is paid on salary and you're not having to.
You don't have to worry about a thing.
Tip them out or whatever. Like that's not. They're always there.
Yeah.
Because they are paid to be there and taken well care of to be there. So maybe you're making 45% instead of 50.
Yeah.
But well, okay, and that is kind of a similar thing though, mindset. We'll circle back around, but of like commission versus independent. For me, myself, like people ask me all the time, don't you want to work for yourself? Like, isn't that how you make more money? And it's like, okay, yes, those, you know, of your $300 service, 300 of those dollars goes into my bank account, but then $75 to $80 for the actual color to do said product,
especially if you're doing like a bleach.
Yes, well, and like, or if you're getting like a full baby light and a shadow root and a glaze and a tip out, like that's just not 3 bowls of bleach for your highlights. That's another bowl of bleach for this, probably a double application formula for your glaze if your hair is long, plus another 20 to 30 grams for your shadow root, plus, you know, the tip out if you need to wet balayage those lights, I don't know, ends, that could be another 20, 30 grams. I mean, it's a lot of color people don't realize. So it's like, okay, I might end up making $10 more and I'm losing 4 hours of time that it took me to do the inventory, to do the laundry, to redo my website, to do all these things that I don't have the knowledge or skill set for. Or I look at it as I'm paying my boss 50% to just take care of all of that for me. So like, I don't even really look at it like, I mean,
I think it's because we've both done independent.
That's true. And that might be it, because I've been on both sides and the grass is not, it isn't greener over there. It might be for some people who are, or more organized, less ADHD than me, or a different brand of it, maybe. But
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm pretty ADHD, and I did well.
Yeah.
But I just don't like it.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, I was at a very different point in my life when I had a toddler. I was freshly like single mom with a toddler baby, like, you know, very different point in my life. It might be different and I wouldn't about it if I tried it now, but to me, it's not worth it. So that's my point. If on top of that, like Michelle had a conversation with us about, she went to some business meeting with Orbe and they were talking at their table about like commission checks or for retail. And so she asked, you know how she does, she asked us like, do you like it once a month? Do you want it every week? Like, would you prefer we save it up for the year? Like, do you have input or suggestions on a way that might be better? You know? And I guess somebody was talking about, and I've worked in scenarios like this where, like, let's say your retail commission is 16%, but you get 8%, and that other 8% goes into an account for your education. So I've seen that where I actually got to reap the benefits of it. And then I've seen it where it's like, oh, no, there's no education available for that. Like there aren't any options. So it's like I've been in scenarios where you get money and sometimes you don't. So it's like that was my thing is I'm like I like our sliding scale, but if you balanced it out to everybody made 18% commission and the most we're going to take home is 9% commission, but that other 9% accrues for the year. So when I want to take a new topper class, I've got $1,200 in my education fund from last year that now that class only cost me $400 instead of $1,200. You know what I mean? I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. That's kind of how I look at it. Was like you were saying, in a salon you might have benefits that are different.
Yeah, and let's go to like sliding scale for commission.
Okay.
On retail specifically. I've worked in salons that I've made up to 20% commission. I've worked in salons that I only make 10% commission. I've worked in salons that I've made like a straight, like you said, like I think 16%, but then a certain, I think it was 8% you get to keep. The salon keeps the other 8% for an education fund. But then I was in a scenario with that one where like they say that 8% goes in there and then it doesn't. You don't ever get to see it.
Or they say that 8%, the last salon I was at in Oregon, I made 35% commission and that she used to pay 40, but that 5% went to go to help pay for healthcare. The healthcare I didn't have. So I'm paying for
Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
So it went to pay for her healthcare.
So that 5% paid for the portion of our healthcare that she paid for, but I didn't even make enough money to pay my portion of the healthcare. So
you didn't have it.
I didn't have the healthcare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, like the salons that are offering like a flat rate commission for anything, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot.
I agree.
Like my perspective is the more you reward your employees, the more successful they are going to be, which means in turn, the more successful you are going to be.
That is true because you have to incent. I don't give a shit who you are, how kind your heart is, how good of a human you are. We are like, we work on incentive. Like, no matter what, you're not good to people because it makes you feel like shit. You're good to people because it makes you feel good. The reward is you feel good for treating others good. You're still getting something out of the situation. And I think it's ridiculous to like forget that when you're thinking about people and stylists and like managing a group of people. You know what I mean? Anytime you want to get somebody to do something for you, parenting, managing a group of people, you have to give them something that they want in order to get them to do for you. Because otherwise you're just demanding, and there's no incentive to do it.
Well, and I can almost guarantee you that there's maybe a 3% of the working population that work just because they want to.
Yeah. You mean like because they're rich and they just do it so they're not bored? Yeah.
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 Like, so in my opinion, if I have the opportunity to make up to 20% commission on something, I'm going to make that 20% commission. Absolutely. Totally. Every single time, no matter what. And yeah, that might be more money that you're giving to your team, but they're making you more money. So it's a win-win regardless.
Exactly.
Maybe you don't get a new Ferrari every year or a fucking Porsche that you're driving around. Maybe you're driving a used Porsche instead of a new one. But you know what?
2022.
Even, you know,
that's used.
I would take it. I would take it.
Them Hyundai Santa Fe's are real nice.
Also that, you know, they are pretty nice.
They are pretty nice.
But like, I see salon owners out there that are, I don't know if they're out of touch because they have made it themselves, but like I see salon owners out there sticking to these principles that have worked in the past. But with how fast our industry is growing, they're not staying, these policies aren't staying relevant anymore.
You and I touched on this a little bit at lunch too, because I think it's a two-edged sword, like a double-edged sword as far as like old versus new. there are some outdated, like almost, this is a dangerous word, but I'm going to use it. Tyrannical management type of practices that are very 80s, 90s, early 2000s culture, big brand, big salon, like pyramid-y almost vibe.
Yes,
in
and
some
those used to
salons.
work.
And it used to work, right? But the way the industry is changing, whether you're commissioned or not, we know we don't have to be. We can go work for ourselves. You know what I mean? So there's a little shift in, I think, what stylist expectations are from cultures and from like groups. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so and there's also like modern marketing and practice and all that, customer relations, things like that.
Well, and you know, too, like something that I've noticed, sorry, I just don't want to lose this thought. Something that I've noticed about that pyramid-y thing where it's like you have your higher level stylist and then you have your like high level, but not as high as the highest. And then you have your people who are, there's still room on their books to grow, but they're pretty established. And then you have your growing, your babies, and then you have your associates, your co-stylists, whatever. And what I've noticed is a lot of salons will have like 2 or 3, maybe 4 top tiers. And then no one else ever gets there. Because they've given up by the time they...
So it's like that, what's the word? Threshold?
It's unachievable, that threshold. In a lot of places that I've seen by going in and educating and just hearing the break room chatter from salons all over the country. It's not just here. It's all over the country. This is happening to like salons where they are super successful. Maybe they're grossing over $1 million, $2, $3, $4 million a year. But why are people leaving your salon and never making it to the top tier stylist? Why are they leaving your salon and going to another salon to start completely over? Or why are they going and starting their own suites? Why are they not staying there and building your business bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to answer the question? The answer is culture. Like
culture,
you know what I mean?
and there's no incentive.
Well, but that is part of culture.
Yes.
That is part of culture. I mean, because that is also, I think, the flip side to the argument we hear a lot more, I think, because there's more independent stylists now that do like one-on-one apprentice associates, whatever you want to call it, is like where they're like, oh, they come to me and they learn everything and then they go off on their own.
Well, what did you offer them?
Exactly. What incentive did you give them to stay there? Were they fucking miserable and feeling like shit and hating themselves and doubting themselves? I do, like, if you're not made to feel comfortable, that's exactly what I would be thinking if I were said stylist. I would be like, I am going to learn everything I can and then I am going to get out of here because you have given me no reason to feel like I'm supported or loved or appreciated or have a future here. But if I can see myself growing with you and learning and becoming just as successful as you are in this environment, then I'm going to stay and I'm going to bust my booty.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's what I think, that's why people are leaving, because there is no incentive to stay. They're not incentivized by the way that they're treated, either personally or professionally, pay-wise, benefits-wise, education-wise. Like, you know, there's a lot of culture-wise. I mean, just even being like, knowing that you can have a bad day and someone's going to be like, hey, do you need something?
Right.
What can I do to support you? Like, I know you're off. Yeah, you dropped a ball, man, but we all have bad days.
Right. And is there anything going on?
And yeah, and not like, you did this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. Like, is the first question, okay, what's going on? What's going on with you? Also, X, Y, and Z happened, so we need to deal with it. But my concern is you.
Right. You are my priority.
How did we get here with you that you're in this space that this happened? Not what's wrong with you?
Absolutely.
You fucked this up. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that like,
well, and that just, it goes to like offering support, no incentives, no one's growing. And then, oh my God, I just drew a freaking blank. Keep going. I'm sorry.
well, I was just going to say,
You may even touch on it. So keep going.
well, just, yeah, if you're a baby stylist and you're fresh out of school and you go to a salon, eventually, like, you know, the education is like so cool. The training program is great. So now you've gone through your training program, you've tested out, you've passed your training program, and now you're on the floor. And let's say you're starting out level 1, whatever, if your salon has levels or however it works, you know, and this and this and this. And so here's your sliding scale. And it's like, there's these thresholds that feel like impossible to break through. Like, eventually you're going to get discouraged.
Or the thresholds are set to set up that upper tier for success and has no regard for the lower tiers.
Well, and that's the thing is I feel like once you've reached said upper tier, you're probably at the highest price point.
Right. So your commission should be fixed as your incentive.
Exactly.
To stay there. You consistently can get 50%, 60%, whatever I don't think it's realistic for a salon to operate offering any more than
50.
I was going to say 45 for their like other stylists, but I think you could offer 50% for your upper tier. But I don't think, especially now with as much as products cost,
Gone up, I know.
I think a luxury level salon where you have a staff that's taking care of the front, that's taking care of the back, that's doing towels and all of the things. I don't think that you could operate a salon at that level paying everyone 50%.
No.
I agree with that part. But when your commission scale is set up so that your upper tier are going to make that 50%, but you're telling the lower tiers they have the opportunity to make that 50% when the threshold to make that is way above the scale that they've ever done before.
So answer me this though. Okay. So let's say you have 3 stylists in your salon that, I don't know, do $1.5 million a year each.
Okay.
Okay. So you have front desk staff and you have a co-stylist, let's say. So you have 2 front desk people and 3 co-stylists. So each one of them has an associate, right?
Uh-huh.
And then that's on Monday. And then on Tuesday, you have 2 mid-level stylists and 1 lower-level stylist. You still have 3 co-stylists and you still have 2 people on the front desk.
Okay.
So it's 3 stylists, 2 co-stylists, or 3, and 2. Both days. But one day, it's 3 higher-level stylists. The overhead of the co-stylist and the front desk staff has not changed. But the amount of dollars that has come in did change.
Yes.
It's more on the first day.
Yes.
So why does it cost more? Do you get what I'm saying? Why does it cost more to have those higher level stylists? Like, why could you not pay them 50%?
No, I'm saying that the higher level stylist could absolutely make 50% because of that reason.
No. I get it. But you were saying that you feel like you can't operate on that level and pay everyone 50%.
So say you have 12 stylists.
Yeah. I'm not questioning you. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I got it. With 2 higher level stylists.
Okay.
I think it is unreasonable to operate the salon at a luxury level with paying 12 people 50% commission.
Got it.
I
get what you're saying.
The 2 I can understand because they're bringing in more money. Their price point is crazy high.
Yeah.
But then say they only work 2 days a week. On day 3, 4, and 5 that the salon is open, your overhead is higher.
Got it.
Because the people that are there are bringing in less.
Got it.
So the less you make, the less you make,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but it should be an attainable goal
Mm-hmm.
to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think
your camera died, which is perfect timing because we do have to wrap this episode up. But
yes, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, that's fine.
That if you're pouring into your staff with either, you don't have to be like spoiling them and taking them out to dinner and having heartfelt conversations necessarily all the time, but I do mean like, money that comes in, putting that back into the business, putting that into education for your staff, putting that into, team building events or, savings account for each person for education or whatever it may be. Like if your bottom line and your business is suffering, don't go putting like regulations and this and that and extra charges and upcharge. Pour into your staff,
because that is how your business is going to grow,
and that is how the people are going to care about their job. That is how they're going to go out there and they're going to market themselves. They're going to market themselves on social media. They're going to market themselves when they're out at a bar. They're going to, this and that and this and that. If I am miserable and I hate my salon, I'm not wanting to bring other people in there. You know what I mean? I don't want to bring people into that environment. If I do love where I'm at, I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to be like, come in, blah, 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 So I just think that it's important to
pour into your staff.
Because
then they'll pour back into you. And I have one last, what I lost my train of thought earlier was also like, do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. If you say that there's going to be a weekly class for associates or co-stylists, make sure that there is a weekly class scheduled and that those co-stylists are available only for that class and not to be pulled to shampoo and have that experience taken away from them, because that is why they're at your salon.
Yeah.
Is because they were promised that they were going to have weekly education with test outs and they were going to be able to get onto the floor in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But the first week that you miss that class is the first step in losing that stylist.
I agree.
It's the first step in that stylist thinking about going somewhere else or thinking about saying, you know what, I can rent a chair and be just fine.
Yeah.
I learned enough from here, from watching, not doing, but I learned enough that I can go rent a chair.
Yeah.
If you say that you're going to offer a class every week for your associates, offer it.
Yeah.
Because then the second week, you're losing them again.
No, it's so true.
They're one more step down that hallway.
It is so true.
And they're headed for the door.
Yes,
and that was my last point.
Period.
Short episode. Make sure you check out our Patreon episode, www.patreon.com/breakroombanterpod. We're going to put that on the screen at the bottom. And
thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thanks for joining us. I was like, how do we close the podcast?
Thanks with us while we work out our new studio, our new intro, our new schedule, all of it. We love you guys.
We're hoping to bring you more valuable content now that we are rested.
We're brainstorming. We've got some ideas. We wrote them in the notebook. It's going to be fun.
And this is the first of it. So let us know in the comments on Instagram, down here on YouTube. You leave us a review on Spotify.
Reviews, great.
Yeah, what you think, what you want to hear, what we need to hear, guests you want to see. Yeah, and until next time, remember.
You always have a seat at our table. Bye.
Sharing this story because it's like comical. I know today, besties, and I'm just having one of those days.
In theater, and then I was like, this is really fun. And then I started doing it on my friends, so I identify with that, but I didn't.